Welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to talk to you about 5 different articles, 5 different posts I've seen on Reddit from the community regarding Outriders, and just how one of them has really stood out with me as a player, and we'll get into depth and talk about them more. So we're going to start this off. Someone here says, why is it different every time I play? I have not changed my build at all. I can't even get the health meter on bosses to move and die every 2 minutes. Someone says it's health and damage mitigation. Someone says everyone, as the original poster says, anyone else have this problem? Someone says everyone. Even stats, if you change and go back to your original numbers, usually don't match. Then someone else says that's by far the most maddening part of the game. The person that says health and damage mitigation, I don't think that's the case. Basically, it's how much damage you mitigate. So an enemy hits you for 100,000 damage, as pure example, and you've got, say 60% damage resistance. You're only going to take 40,000 damage instead of the full 100 because you have that 60% damage resistance. That's your mitigation. In terms of how much damage you're dealing to the enemies, I don't think the enemies actually have any issues with the damage mitigation on their part. So I just don't know. It seems to be a very big inconsistency with this game. And the fact that it definitely can feel like that. I've experienced it myself. I go into an expedition, feel fine one day, log on the next day, and I'm barely touching them. Log on the day after, and my god, I'm absolutely slaughtering. I think that's just a lack of consistent sort of coding from the developers. But moving on to the next post, someone here says, day 18 of Outriders being broken on Xbox. Does anyone at PCF or SE care? Is there any planned fix? Player base can't play the game without power cycling the Xbox numerous times, only to get kicked off after an expedition or two and having to do it again. Started promptly upon May 6 patch. We get to look at this screen more than we get to play the actual game, and that's the internet connection error screen. I've seen this happening all over the place on Xbox. Literally so many Xbox users are having this issue, and it's basically all linked to a sign-in issue, and it was a massive problem on the PlayStation until the patch come out. They fixed it for PlayStation and is now broken on Xbox. The worst thing about this is the damage mitigation patch has been stated to not fix this, and they know that the sign-in issues for Xbox players will continue to happen after. So this day 18 of Outriders being broken on Xbox is possibly going to go to day 34 or day 40 of Outriders being broken on Xbox. And you need to remember that this is a £60 paid game. That's why I do so many videos pointing out the problems, because people have spent £60 and this person here hasn't been able to play for 18 days. And that's just going to carry on because these developers just don't work fast enough. Someone, however, did reply and said, just not play the game, simple, like a lot of people do in the comments. And then the original poster says, not a good solution. People paid for the game. When you don't get an operational product, it needs to be made right on principle. Plus, the game is mucho fun when it works. If it sucked, people wouldn't care that they aren't even able to sign in and play. And I totally agree with that response. You get some people that can't think of an educated answer. They just simply say, oh, don't play the game. Or if you hate the game so much, why are you still playing? No. People do it all the time. It's just the easiest sort of response you can give to someone that's criticising something. Even though this person wasn't actually criticising, they were asking a question. I feel like I've been mugged off by the developers. Do they actually care that I spend £60 on their product? I've not been able to play for almost 3 weeks. So the response from the original poster, I totally agree with. Then we're going to move on to number 3. This one, very simple, nothing highlighted. Why does it do this quest blocking thing? This is the split tooth hunt thing that you do for the monster, and this has actually been broken ever since the launch of this game. It has never been addressed, acknowledged or anything, and I know that because Pete had the issue himself. Moving on to number 4, 75 groups. These are the last 75 times I tried to connect to multiplayer. Yet they've done patches, they say their multiplayer works. This game was built around co-op play, and Square Enix went with P2P servers. So we're not going to go through all of these. We are literally going to scroll to the bottom, and then we have the statistics of the 75 games. 40 of them were AFK, 17 were successful, 8 had connection issues, 6 were disbanded, 4 times the player was kicked. And that was over the total time of 4 hours. So you imagine sitting there for 4 hours. I say you imagine. A lot of you probably do this if you play the game. Obviously, everyone's going to have a different experience, but to sit there and search for 75 different expeditions and only have 17 successful. It doesn't matter if they were disbands, kicks, connection issues, AFK, whatever. It's just the fact that out of 75, this player has only been able to successfully play 17 of them. However, the biggest issue is AFK. They had a thing in this game when it first launched that your game privacy was default to open. So you matchmake and there was just people that logged on, I don't know, had to go to the toilet, go to the shop, whatever they were doing, they were AFK. And then the developers said, right, to try and sort some of the AFKs out, what we're going to do is we're going to default your game privacy to closed. For some reason, I've seen people saying that they have their game closed and people are still able to join. They have their game open and no one ever joins. There's just absolutely no consistency, as we've spoken about 100 times with this game. But still, after their attempts to try and lower or reduce the amount of AFKs, it's still the most common issue for matchmaking in this game. Then I've highlighted in yellow, can there please be a solution to the AFK situation? They've already attempted to fix it, and I'm pretty sure they've kind of moved on from a lot of the issues in this game. They don't care about them at all, so there probably won't be a solution. Then also, when I join a group, I expect to be dropped into a mission, not join someone spending 30 minutes fiddling with their gear in the Outriders camp. They should have put a system in that when you choose to go to expeditions, it puts you straight into one that's already midway. Or something like that. They basically, it wouldn't be that easy, and it'd kind of be annoying to always join the, expeditions that are halfway through. But what I mean is basically set it up so that the game knows when someone is ready to start an expedition, and that's when you are able to join them. Other games can get this sort of stuff right. I don't know why Outriders failed to do that. But then the last post, and this is one of the most interesting ones I've seen on Reddit, and I actually totally agree with this. It's just, I've never thought of it in this way before. Let's move over to the post and we'll have a look. So this is talking about games as a service, live service games. The thing about games as a service but not an actual games as a service game is, your revenue is optimized if people buy your game, but it doesn't matter if they actually play it. So a majority of games as a service games require persistent internet connections. Servers cost a bunch of money, and companies try to offset this cost by occasional seasons to keep the players engaged so that they buy cosmetics and items using microtransactions. Outriders is a GaaS-like game in a sense that it requires persistent internet connection. Even if you're a solo player, you still have to connect to the internet. Someone has to pay for all the costs of the servers. Cost only increases the more the number of players. So basically you've got 1,000 players, I don't know, let's just say for example it costs you £500 a day. So it's half the price. You've got 1 million players, you need to pay £500,000 a day for your server usage. That's pure example, I don't know how much it is for servers, I don't care. But someone has to pay for these servers. There are no microtransactions in this game to offset the cost of the servers. Yet they've done it as a persistent internet connection. So the longer the players play Outriders, the less net profit the company actually makes. Hence, in pure financial terms, it makes zero sense to retain the player base. Players usually have a short-term memory, and often enough they show back up with enough marketing and hyping of the next game. So a lot of players, I say a lot of players, at least some players that have said PCF and SE are never getting my money again, when they announce their next game, those people will actually go and buy it. And not just that, if they do well at hyping the game up and they make it, we've learned from our mistakes, it's going to be a really, really good game. If they hype it all up, people will believe it. It carries on to say bugs and glitches have amounted to enough bad rep that fixing stuff wouldn't do much to change the perception of the game. This game has been struggling for the last couple of weeks to actually stay in 5-figure concurrent players on Steam. I keep an eye on it all the time. It's actually 9,000 at the moment. For some reason this week has been better than last week. Probably actually because of the 25% off sale. If you're looking at Steam and Epic Games, you can get the game for £37.50, or you was able to. I don't know if the offer's still on now. But you was able to pick it up at 25% off its original price. And I say that clearly. The game costs 75% of its original price. It's 25% off in a sale. Because I had so many comments of saying, it's not 25% of its original price. I never said that. I said it's a quarter off its original price. So instead of paying £60 on console, you pay £45. Instead of £50 on PC, you pay £37.50. And I stated that with the numbers, the actual costs and stuff. People still pointed out, whatever, moving on. So it genuinely pains to see this game with so much potential going the way it is, but there's absolutely no choice because, as this post states, the less players on the game, actually makes it easier and more profitable for the developers. And this is something that people don't actually look into, and that's why I said, like, it kind of shocked me, it stunned me when I read this, and I thought it makes loads and loads of sense. The reason they won't be quick to fix their game is because the more people on their game, the more it's going to cost them to run the servers, whether that's Square Enix or People Can Fly. At the end of the day, the more people playing, the more it's going to cost them to run the game. So the only thing I think they're going to do, they'll put out patches and stuff, whether it'll fix everything or not is a different story, but they'll put out patches to try and at least retain some audience around the game, keep some promotion from content creators and stuff. And I mean, yes, I'm even promoting it by doing the negative videos or whatever, because it still gives them the time of day. But basically, as long as they can keep some players on the game, they have a bit of promotion, they have an audience or whatever, they can then just focus on building up hype to get sales. So wait until they announce DLC or an expansion, if it's going to cost. They'll really hype the shit out of it to get players really, really excited. Then it could just be completely broken. It doesn't matter because they don't care if people stay after, it's as long as that purchase is made initially. And that's where the comments come in and say that's why we need to boycott this stuff. It doesn't work like that. You could have 10 million people playing this game, 9 million people could leave. They've still got 1 million players. They don't care as long as they still have a little bit of their hardcore player fan base left. They will promote this game and tell their friends how amazing it is. As long as that's there, they have their money for marketing and hyping up the product. They literally don't care about anything else. Look at Amazon Games. They flopped with Crucible. They've carried on with New World, the MMO, and they've just, I don't know if they're done yet, but from what I've seen, they've just finished defending really predatory microtransactions. And you would think the company would be a little bit more careful, considering how much money they wasted making Crucible, for that game to flop and completely come off the market. But to wrap this video up, there is one response that I wanted to read out at the very bottom of this. And this one says, all seems to lead back to fraudulent. Circumstances seem to benefit these developers often. They've got a roadmap for it. They mislead their investors. They hype. They launch the game with a life cycle of about 3 weeks tops. They then launch a series of patch mistakes and server issues until the player base leaves. They then go and hire interns to try and weasel money out of people. So having 25% off to encourage more sales. Releasing DLC to encourage more sales, promoting that they are working on other products. That's all to try and generate sales to the company. If people actually enjoy, I don't know, even 1% of the game, they will more than likely check out future products by the company. It's a weird situation, it's annoying. As I said, there's no consistency with this game at all. But that's the hand we've been dealt by these developers. We have to put up with their shit. But on that note, that's going to do it for the video. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.